For Randy Walker, football was life.
The relationships with the players were everything to him. He always said the players were his heroes.
He expected things that we didn't believe we could give.
The one thing that we could control was being the most competitive team on the field.
This is unbelievable to shoot it out with a high-powered Michigan like Randy Walker has done here today.
Because of all the things that Coach Walker brought to our team, changing our mindset, it helped us be a part of one of the greatest football games in NCAA history.
He hit it! Red West for three! Holy Buckeye! Goodbye! Hello! Northwestern needs a touchdown slant. They've got it! They've got it!
In January '99, Randy was on a recruiting trip for Miami of Ohio in Lake Okeechobee in Florida. And he got a message that he had to call the athletic director at Northwestern. His goal was to achieve the highest level of college coaching, and Northwestern helped him do that.
Open is Arnold, touchdown!
Gary Barnett made everybody believe it could be done, including Randy.
Hit in the backfield by number 31, Pat Fitzgerald.
And I think that's what convinced him to come.
I grew up south side of Chicago. Went to Carl Sandburg High School, which was the same high school as Pat Fitzgerald. I would probably say I was a better basketball player than I was a football player in high school.
How he played football and how he played basketball were so similar because he understood exactly how to control the pulse and the tempo of the game. My brother was my best friend, my role model, my hero. He was 3 years older than me, but from as long as I could remember, he let me tag along and do everything. But most of those things were sports.
In 1993, the famous Florida State-Notre Dame game in South Bend, I was in attendance. I committed to Coach Holtz, but the year before I came in, he retired. And so I felt like from a depth chart perspective, I was on the outside looking in. I knew as a little kid, I wanted to be on the field.
Randy and I grew up in Troy, Ohio. We met in high school, and I went to Miami a year ahead of him, and then as he was being recruited, he decided Miami was the place for him, not because of me, although I like to think that, but mostly because of the Cradle coaches and the experience he'd get. After college, he bounced around as an assistant at several schools. Then in 1990, Miami hired him as his first head coaching job. The old school mentality was if you could run the ball well, then it really opened up the passing game.
That was Randy's DNA. That was Midwest football, and that's what we brought to Miami of Ohio. Late 70s, I grew up in a great little football town called Maiden in the western part of North Carolina. Coach Walker was on staff at North Carolina recruiting the western part of the state. I chose Carolina, played there, became a GA, kind of became Coach Walker's right-hand guy in town. Coach Walker said, I can't call the plays from the sideline. I'm gonna let you call them. If you screw it up, I'll go to somebody else. So he'd always say things like, Kevin, would you quit jacking around and just run the daggum ball? Quit being so cute. Let's run the ball and get out of here.
In January of 1999, I was driving up to Evanston, turn on the radio, hear that Coach Barnett resigned, and I just kept driving up there. The same day that Coach Barnett resigned, they were also announcing that Coach Walker was going to be named the head coach. I got to Evanston, listened to Coach Walker's press conference in the parking lot right outside the football facilities.
I just keep having good things happen to me. I think a lot of it has to do with the way you live your life and how you try to do business.
The thing that really resonated with me was that there's not do the best you can and that'll be great. It is figure out a way to win.
There was definitely a lot of conversation about whether guys were going to stay when Coach Walker came in, because Coach Walker was very demanding.
Everything was competitive. Everything was ultra demanding. You had no place to hide as a player. It really created a toughness and a collectiveness of the team.
We brought in the Miami playbook and said, here it is. We just put Northwestern, change the numbers, put a cat logo over there instead of a red hole.
It was a very run-heavy, pass as an afterthought offense.
He is hammered back on the play. My goodness.
They were starting out with the offense they pretty much were comfortable with, and it didn't work that well.
That first game in 1999, we lost to his previous team, Miami, Ohio, and they beat us pretty good.
That first year was a bomb. I mean, we just totally laid an egg.
Well, it wasn't one of our best days. As bad a performance as we've had in a long time.
We only won one Big Ten game in 1999, and we averaged less than 13 points a game. That was certainly an edict from Coach Walker. I don't know what we're going to do, but we need to do something a lot different in order to score more points. In the early part of the '99 season, I happened to be watching Virginia Tech hosting Clemson. And the offense for Clemson is looking over to the sideline and getting signals and changing the play over and over and over again. I shoot Kevin Wilson a call, and I said, are you watching this? What are they doing?
It was just intriguing watching them be in the spread, the quarterback looking over. I've never seen this before.
Joe Tiller was the coach at Purdue at that time and had Drew Brees. And they were a spread the field to pass the ball offense.
Randy said, that's not my style. We're going to be physical. We're going to run the football.
Tommy Bowden at Clemson really spent a lot of time convincing Randy that this was a running offense.
We'd be sitting in the office staff, and he would just open the door and go, I can't believe we're doing this, bleep, and then close the door and walk out.
There was just a hope, but I hope this works.
In 2000 in Madison, our first Big Ten game of the season, and everybody's locker was hanging up a black t-shirt that just said, trust. He said, hey, it's easy to walk on a 2x4 when it's sitting on the ground. Now, once you start raising the 2x4 up, do you believe in yourself to have the same balance? Well, men, we're gonna walk into Camp Randall Stadium, and that 2x4 is gonna be 100 feet off the ground. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust your teammates? Do you believe that you can go out there and win?
Anderson to the end zone. Northwestern wins.
After that game, we realized, okay, we got something special here.
Another touchdown for Northwestern.
I mean, we never huddled, but we definitely had our core group of plays that we like to run. Really, Damian left, Damian right, a couple of pass plays, we're off and running.
Aaron Cromer and I were the signalers. We'd get the play from Coach Wilson.
Both coaches would be doing some type of hand signals.
There it is, two different signals. Everyone knows who's live.
They both will point to the ground, which means run the play.
Gets it again, 10-5, touchdown.
What we started off going at was Indy. And Coach Wilson then decided, well, Indy is fast, but how can we go fast? What's faster than a car? Well, it's a plane, and we would call that jet. And so this would be jet. The first game against Northern Illinois, Jermaine Hampton, who is a great safety for them, he put a big hit on me, but I remember him getting up and he looked at me, he's like, you guys gotta slow down.
When you look at who Zach was as a point guard and a basketball player, going through your progressions of plays on the basketball floor, it was very similar because of the quickness.
Back then, we were We were the odd bird. No one had seen it.
Touchdown number 4 for Anderson.
We got hotter than chicken grease, and it was fun.
There was so much just buzz and excitement of trying to figure out what this team really was. Wait, are they for real?
Finds his wide open receiver going in the end zone. Sam Simmons with the touchdown.
I met Sam back in the early 90s. We actually went to middle school together. It was my junior year going into my senior year. My girlfriend told me, he really likes you. I'm like, he's younger than me. He doesn't even have a car.
We are definitely high school sweethearts. Started dating in September of '96 and been together ever since.
In 1998, we had Talia, our oldest.
Things for me personally, changed. I'm playing football, I'm trying to go to school, but now I have my family with me.
In the early part of 2000, I found out I was pregnant. I had the pregnancy test on the counter in the bathroom. And he walked in, he goes, "What?" I said, "Yep, we're gonna have 2.
For most of that 2000 season, my wife was in her 3rd trimester.
The Minnesota game, I was at home watching it on TV.
They jumped out on us early. I mean, we were down 35-14 in the second half.
It's a fake, and he throws it. Touchdown, Minnesota!
I was just like, oh my gosh. I just knew we were gonna lose.
We started going for it on 4th downs. I think we scored 2 or 3 touchdowns on 4th down.
The Wildcats are all the way back.
The game is tied 35-35. I've never even been a part of the game where we had to throw a Hail Mary, so you're not quite sure, do we have a chance to catch it? Could we catch it? I tapped my feet down, but I didn't even know if I was in.
Sam Simmons made the catch.
They cut to Minnesota's coach, and he's like, did this really just happen?
We got off the bus when we came home from Minneapolis, and we were getting ready for Michigan. If you're a kid in the Midwest, growing up in the mid-90s, Michigan meant something.
I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and at the time my dad was captain of the University of Michigan. My first really sports experience was going to the 1969 Ohio State at Michigan game when they were ranked #1, and I remember holding my dad's hand and just being overwhelmed. And when I came to Northwestern in 1992, I learned that Michigan was really not a word that you said around Evanston much, and we were going to be on a mission to find a way to beat them.
My senior year of high school basketball, I was the Chicago Player of the Year. I went to DePaul, and then of course, I was right up the road to be able to go watch my brother play. The game against Michigan, we had a practice that Saturday, and the kickoff time was supposed to be 11 a.m., and it was kind of understood that I was not going to be able to make the game. And then the kickoff time changed.
A big game on the first Saturday of November. Should be a terrific football game.
Okay, we finally got a late evening type game, so we were super excited. By the time we got to the Michigan game, Trina was 8 months pregnant.
I was so excited and so geeked for that game.
Simmons breaks free and somehow gets a first down.
I had to find a babysitter. I had that all planned out a week ahead of time.
Anderson to daylight. And the Northwestern attack is causing fits for the Michigan defense early.
We had a quick score, but Drew Henson and David Terrell were on fire.
Terrell got it. Touchdown. They can't handle #1.
They're really the ones that set the pace on the scoring and how quickly it was happening.
641 total yards of offense. Gary, that's unbelievable. Oh, it's going to be a remarkable second half here at Evanston.
After practice, I tossed on some sweats and said, let's go. And it's stressful. Listen on the radio.
And Henson hands Thomas, knocked down right at the line.
Got to Evanston somewhere in the middle of the third quarter. But from the moment I sat down, I think my heart was in my throat.
Kustok didn't get the man open, but now he runs it. Wants the end zone, dives! Touchdown, NU, touchdown!
Ryan Field was nuts.
What a play. What a play.
I felt like they're hanging on, and this could be real.
There was times when I did think about my wife in that back and forth game. You know, where is she? Is she okay?
Fumble! Northwestern football!
I screamed, I cried. I felt like I was going to pass out. And I'm like, okay, calm down a little bit, but I was in game mode.
51-46 Michigan. We get the ball with 3.5 minutes left.
Northwestern 90 yards away for Zach Kustok.
Still doing the hurry up, still doing the tempo.
Breaks free. First and goal at the 8-yard line.
It comes to fourth down, and I'm kind of like, and Jeff said, hey, Kev, how about the throwback to DA? And I'm like, yeah.
We hadn't run that probably since training camp.
What better way to try a play for the first time than with under 2 minutes against Michigan in the biggest game of the season?
Savage got it. Jake Anderson in trouble. Get a throw back. He's open.
It's one of those plays where the ball seems like it's in slow motion, like, here it comes.
I was watching that ball go up and thinking, oh my goodness, Damian Anderson, who had a monster game, this is going to be the storybook ending.
One of the best players in college football having a great game didn't make that play.
Oh my goodness.
I kind of dropped down into a squat position. We had just been going back and forth with the heavyweight champion, and if this is how this is going to end, it almost seemed unfair.
I remember doing this. Oh my gosh. That was it. That was it.
I think the whole stadium, and maybe even coach, thought it was over. But Randy was just really proud of the way Damian reacted. He didn't hold his head down. He came over and said, with a lot of confidence, we've got this.
This has been a wonderful college football game.
It's Michigan's ball, and now they can win the game with just getting one first down.
I was like, wow, this is really how it's going to end. And then it wasn't.
Fumble! Northwestern's got it! 47 seconds!
We're like, yes, we got the ball, we got the ball. He fumbled, he fumbled.
I don't believe it!
The fact that there was this new life, it made me 1,000 times more nervous.
Now Zach up firing slant, first down, clock stops.
We were able to make a couple quick hitters and get the ball down inside the 20 real quick, like, oh, here we go.
We get to the line of scrimmage and we have our initial play call, but we always look back to the sideline to make sure we get that go call from the coaches. What I remember is we changed that play, and that's where we got the hand signal for me to run a slant route.
I think Sam and I looked at each other, my eyes, internally lit up. I didn't even care if I grabbed the lace or not. I just knew I had to catch it and get it out of my hands.
They've got it! They've got it! Northwestern leads!
The referee had to warn me to stop celebrating. It was a wave of emotions that's really hard to explain.
Sam Simmons, last week's hero, has done it again.
I kind of point to the crowd, and in that split moment, where's my wife? How is she doing?
He pointed where I was sitting, but I was just in so much emotion of looking at him. And I was just like, oh my gosh, we did it. And then I had to find Zach.
The pride I had because of knowing what he had went through to be at this point, it all came together in that pass and in that catch.
Northwestern wins it. Northwestern wins it 54-51.
I felt like we were at the stadium the whole night because I don't think anybody wanted to go home.
It was the jubilation that we can, we belong, this works.
We were co-Big Ten champs. Knowing that we were a part of history, possibly changing the landscape of college football with our no-huddle spread offense, it's big.
Randy understood how important it was. To be able to win that game was monumental. In June of 2006, Randy came in and we had dinner, and then he went upstairs, and I went up 10 minutes later, and he was on the floor. He had had a heart attack.
It was one of those moments that you just can't believe.
It broke my heart. I had to really watch Sam.
The minister that led the service said she didn't understand until his funeral what coaches meant to the young men that they influenced. And that just kind of says it all.
He would be proud of the man that I've become because I raised my family, you know. This is the part that is definitely hard to talk about.
Yeah. Sorry, just I'll get a little emotional thinking about Coach Walker and how instrumental that he was to me at that time. I'd like to think that he'd be more proud of me as a father, and that's what he wanted to have an impact on.
It's pretty special. He was a very charismatic, caring, tough guy. He had the ability to be tough and demanding, but care about you and love you up and always be there for you. Special, special coach, special, special man.
They had a whiteboard in the meeting room, and Randy had written the spring outline of practice schedule. And I got a call from Coach Fitz, and he said, we're going to take the board and we're going to encase it and put it in the meeting room in the new facility. It's silly, I guess, but it's his handwriting, you know, and so there's something special about that.
The way it all came together collectively was, quote unquote, the perfect storm. It was the perfect team and the perfect moment. That game, that day, lives in so many lives and will live forever in college football.
The summer of 2001, the Manning Passing Academy, and Peyton was in the NFL at the time. He said, oh, I know who you are. Yeah, you made me late to our mandatory team dinner and a bunch of other players on the team. He said it was one of the best games that he had ever seen, so I was very appreciative for that.